Hi, I'm Darlene Carman.
And I'm Doug Carman.
Welcome to the show. Randall King, Artistic Director, Co-founder, and Cathleen King, Executive Director for San Jose Stage Company, presents the work of new and established actors, directors, and playwrights to over 25,000 patrons a year. Every season, they come up with an exciting mix of dramas, musicals, and comedies. Today, we will get a glimpse of their 30-plus years in theater and this season's new offerings. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Darlene.
Glad to be here.
Hi, guys.
So, for your many, many years of doing theater, you've done so many productions. I'd have to ask you, which one is your favorite and why?
That's a little like asking me which one of my children would be my favorite.
Absolutely.
Death of a Salesman. It's always the last one I did, I think. But Willie Loman and Death of a Salesman, which we did last March, April.
Yeah.
And why? Why is that one special?
That's the greatest play I've ever worked on, and I've done over 200 of them.
Wow.
It's an incredible piece of work, and you can read it, you can study it in school, in college. I've read it 10 times prior to producing it easy and think this is a great play, but you cannot fathom what a great piece of work it is, what a master stroke it was of Arthur Miller's until you dive into it to either humiliate yourself or, you know, pull an audience into that piece. But it's such a great play, I think you'd have to work hard to mess it up.
So would that be fair to say that was very challenging for you?
It was the Mount Everest of anything I'd ever climbed.
You worked on it for over a year before the show went up?
Before?
Yeah. Before the show opened, yeah.
Really?
Kathleen, do you have any favorite show productions you like?
You know, hard to say, but most recently, Three Penny Opera, which the company took Bay Area Theater Awards as Best Musical.
Wow.
So, you know,
now,
very
what did
edgy,
you like about that?
very
what was
edgy,
special?
very brash. We did a very seductive production, and you know, it ran 8 weeks, so extended run. The audiences just loved it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you extended the run of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, sold out, sold out.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's so many productions that you've done. I would almost have to ask the opposite way. Is there anyone sticks out in your
Well,
mind?
that's like
take
saying
the
you have an
fifth on
ugly
that.
child. You know, you can't say you have an ugly child. But you know, that's the spontaneity of theater. Some clear the fence, and some don't. But we've been very lucky, I think, in the last decade, to be very consistent and feeling satisfied with what we've done with the plays.
Is there any plays that you would like to do but couldn't do because of the venue, of the way your theater's set up? Is there,
Yes.
that might be too big, and that you'd like to do them, but you can't.
Well, noise is off is one of the, you know, you need enough height to be, and you need to be able to flip the set around. And technically, I don't think we can do it in our space. We've talked about doing it. That's an example of one of the plays we would have liked to have done. But we've also learned how to, what we call now, chamberizing the piece so that it fits our space, which is what we did with Three Penny Opera. You have to kind of squeeze it down a little bit, and sometimes that makes the play more accessible, which I think worked for our Three Penny.
Yeah, and we just did Addams Family,
I
which
was
was
just
huge.
gonna
Huge
that,
for our
yeah.
space.
And that's a musical.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of people on the stage. I
Well,
know.
normally there's 10 in the chorus on
Oh,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we whittled
really-
that chorus down, the ancestor chorus down to 6. But if you had 10 chorus and the 10 principals on that stage dancing and singing, they'd be knocking each other for a loop. So it actually, I think, made, we made the show fit in our petri dish. That is our theater.
But you know, that's, Doug and I were talking about that. It's one of the things that we really like about your theater. We've been to bigger houses, nothing wrong with them, but this is so intimate. and it just feels
Absolutely,
like we're all part of it. You know, the audience.
It's
In
easy
fact,
to
some
get
of them are
to-
pretty noisy.
to
I noticed.
interact with the audience.
Our audiences
And
love
every
the space.
seat, you know, have the stadium seating, and every seat that we've sat in different parts of the theater, and they all seem to be good. You don't kind of like, oh, I wish I was sitting here or there. You say you enjoy it.
You know, we work very hard with the directors, and we have a core company. So there's several directors that have directed over 30 shows in that space. So the idea of a 3/4 thrust, you can't stage the show so that just the center section of the audience is seeing the cleanest picture, because a picture speaks 1,000 words. So you have to be three-dimensional in it. I tell directors that aren't familiar with the space, if you ever watched Star Trek in the early days with Spock, Spock played a tri-level chessboard. It wasn't just you know, remember that? And he played 3 games at once. So you have to play tri-level Spock chess when you're staging a show in our space, so that the audiences all are seeing a great picture.
And you have to be careful not to put your feet in the aisles, like I think I did a little bit, because you never know who's going to come out of nowhere, just boom, right by you, and that did happen. And it's like,
sitting
oh,
on the aisle,
and that's fun. That's fun. You just, you know,
Element of surprise always
definitely.
works.
Yeah, we've brought in Bonnie and Clyde the musical, and it's hard to dramatize folks like that, you know, justify that. But it was really about the love story. But everyone knows how Bonnie and Clyde were attacked in the end of their lives.
The end, that must have been
the director was
thrilling.
brilliant in terms of bringing the posse in from different positions. So they crawled up in over the exit door and came down
And
the
over the
stairs
audience.
with, you know, with Browning automatic rifles, you know, and Thompson submachine guns. And I remember coming down as Hamer. I played Hamer, the guy that tracks them down, the Texas Ranger that tracks them down.
Takes them out in the end.
And as I was coming down with the Thompson gun to get him in the final moments, I could see all the audience going like this, you know.
That would be me.
And it was just a tableau freeze, nothing. There was a soundtrack that did you know, munitions going off, but we didn't pull any triggers or have any blanks going off. We had earlier, but in the final moment, you'd come down and you could just feel the audience go, oh, this is it. This is where they're going to get it, you know. And it was blackout, and you could almost feel it go, you know.
Well, we really did enjoy watching you in Death of a Salesman.
thank
That was, but it really surprises me that you can do what you have to do, all that you have to do, and still want to act in these plays. So I'd have to ask you, what is it? Is there something that prompts you? You've got all these plays going before you, and you go, yes, I want to do that one. What is it that prompts you to want to be in one of your plays?
Well, particularly with Death of a Salesman. There's Willie.
Duh, we got a poster
There's
behind
Willie.
us.
How you doing, Willie? With Death of a Salesman, that was, like I say, we have a core company. And a lot of our projects are discussed sometimes for a decade or more before we can actually realize it. And with Death of a Salesman, Ken Keller, Ken's name's up there, who directed it, I've worked with him for 30 years. So we talked about Death of a Salesman, and then we're getting ready to do it, and we're actually talking about bringing an actor from Ashland, James Edmondson, who's been up there for 35 years. Have him come in and do Willie Loman, but we couldn't get the rights. He wasn't available. We could get the rights, he wasn't available. And finally, I said, look, enough time's gone by, I'm almost old enough to play Willie, and I want to play Willie. So as it worked out in terms of when you can procure the rights to do it, you know, from the publishing companies, and all the stars line up, Death of a Salesman was something we talked about for maybe 10 or 12 years.
Wow.
And then, because there was remounts on Broadway, and they restricted the rights.
Right, we weren't able
or
to
other
get the
companies.
rights.
Get to it. Yes,
And then
because
they finally released them to us, and I mentioned that to Randy, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, game on.
And that's your job, to go down and hunt it out and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she negotiates all of that.
Well, that's a nice thing. You got a husband and wife team working together.
Well, by the time we got the rights and we could do the show, I was Willie's age.
Oh,
Right.
Okay,
that's right.
He was
an
much
older,
younger when we started
kind of
getting asking for
and
the
the
rights.
scene, over the kind of over the hill, and
And Doug, a role that big on a play that important. I mean, I had, like Kathy said, I had to get to work early on it.
It was compelling. I was really drawn into it because, you know, I'm a senior citizen and I can remember, you know, facing that kind of reality that, oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, it's part of my personality, my job, and I'm going to lose it all. Yeah. But I found her, you know, well,
everyone has a savior.
Together,
everyone has a savior.
She says, come to work for me.
But I'm very fortunate. The first play that I auditioned for was Arthur Miller's The Crucible. So, and I have performed Eddie Carboni in A View from the Bridge, and was fortunate enough to meet Arthur Miller at San Jose State when he came in to get the Steinbeck Award
that's
there.
Nice.
And got a chance to say, Mr. Miller, we're doing your View from the Bridge tonight. Can you hang around and come see the show tonight? He goes, oh no, I have to fly to Chicago. And the director was standing there, James Reese, and he goes, oh, Mr. Miller, I just want you to know that I underscored View from the Bridge with Italian opera. And Miller kind of took a step back, and I thought I was going to go, you're kidding, Italian opera. He goes, really? I've always seen it as an Italian opera. As a matter of fact, I'm working on the operatic adaptation in Chicago. That's what I'm flying to. So it was a real shot in the arm to have met the master and to have known, and to know that we were doing something with the play that he appreciated. And he regretted he couldn't hang around. You know, he had to fly out of town.
Oh my
but
God.
To come back around and get a chance to actually do Willy Loman and his master work, it was an honor. It was an honor.
Wow.
I'm glad you got to see it.
I wouldn't think that you would have to audition.
Well, when you got your own company, you don't have to audition.
That's right.
Unless the director goes, can you read a few scenes for me? You know.
Yeah,
but like I said, I've worked with Kenneth Kelleher for 30 years, so we have a great trust and respect for each other artistically. Yeah.
And so Kathleen, you do not act at all.
That's the one thing I don't do. But right now we're working on a big project for the theater. We're planning to rebuild the theater.
Oh.
So that's taking a lot of my energy and focus, which has been really, really fun.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Well, we envision the dream. We envision a world-class off-Broadway space on the corner of South First and William. And more of an arts center, so we would house not only San Jose Stage Company, but some other theaters in the area, as well as it would have a cabaret space, and just bigger but still intimate.
So you would essentially expand it a little bit, but not to the point where it's not in event anymore. You lose
that. The intention is to
don't want to lose that.
Keep the 3/4 thrust and under 400 seats. And so we will maintain the intimacy, but give us a lot more technical ability and so forth.
Yeah, there are two more rows in our 5-row theater. Is another 130 seats, but it's only 2 feet away from, 2.5 feet further away from the stage. So the intimacy is still intact, and we've promised our subscribers who were adamant, vehement when they heard.
I can believe it.
That you're not changing.
Once you've been there, it's hard to go back to a traditional theater where you seem so far and removed and maybe having to look up at the stage. You pay premium price to get up in the orchestra, and you end up
looking up the actor's nostrils.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the unsolicited
at the petticoats.
screenplays that you must get every year, because I know you invite people actually, to send in their screenplays. Yeah. So out of that, the percentage that actually get an audience at the stage.
That's a tough. I probably get a script a day.
Oh, really?
Wow,
I actually a stage play. I got screenplays on occasion, but those are usually for me personally in terms of looking at film opportunity.
Just a review.
The stage plays we get probably 1 a day. Wow. At least 5 a week.
That must make it really difficult to try to go through that and figure out if there's anything.
You actually read these yourselves, or
it's time consuming.
Randy reads most of them, and then we have some associates that also review the scripts. So.
Yeah. Wow.
So it does, but in terms of percentages, out of maybe the 300 and 350 that we get a year, I would say maybe 1 or 2 hold a chance of being produced.
That are lucky to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How lucky for them. That get through.
And I know that you had Trevor Allen on your
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
who's doing Working for the Mouse.
Yes.
We premiered his Tenders in the Fog, and then a few years later he had a great script adaptation of
Lolita
Road Trip, which we premiered as well.
Very good.
So Trevor's got a good track record with us.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Amazing.
But it's a
We
talent.
saw
very-
a lot of talent in Trevor. It was
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We got a chance to see his Working for the Mouse and with
Oh, you did a little
Saul,
bit right
and
here.
then she got me to read. She said you got to read this
Yeah.
his screen.
Really.
He's really
stage
prolific.
script. And I couldn't put it down. Normally I would, but boy, once I got into it, I couldn't. I said, "What's coming next? What's coming
Yeah.
next?" So I must have been pretty good on the
Yeah.
stage.
So that's one of the scripts that made it through the
Through the filter,
Yes.
huh?
But we've
And
got
that's
a
pretty
world
good.
premiere.
Oh,
We've got a
that's
world
great.
premiere coming up with Luis Valdez and El Teatro
Well,
Campesino.
let's talk about the season.
Yeah.
I know you're not starting out with that, so do you want to go in order?
Oh, sure,
How do you
sure.
want to do that?
Actually, I'll be directing the opening show, the first show of the schedule. It's RFK by Jack Holmes, which is what I would call a memory play for Bobby Kennedy, and it starts around the time Lyndon Johnson told him, "You're not going to be my presidential vice president candidate on my ticket."
After the assassination
Right,
of
and
his
it goes
brother.
up through.
Yeah.
It goes up through, and it's retrospective. He talks about his brother Jack, JFK, and so. But it basically covers about 1959
So
to
a lot of
1968 when he
the
leaves the.
friction in that within the,
turmoil,
that was going on.
civil rights.
The play, when I read it initially, was about the time when President Obama came into term, his first term. And I read it, it was given to me, and I went, it's a historical piece, but it doesn't really strike, I mean, it hit me from a historical perspective. And then about 6 months ago, I read the play again, and I think I realized that President Obama, being a young yuppie, I'm not a yuppie, a yippie, no, hippie, yippie.
Yeah.
I thought, we're past all of that, all of those moratoriums and protests of the 60s. We have a black president, we have an African-American president. This feels passé. And then I read it about 6 months ago, and I could not even read excerpts. Usually I can read Kathy a scene and go, listen to this. But it was just, it was overwhelming, the sense that I went, my God, we aren't any better off than we were in the 60s. The civil rights issues, the issues of poverty and education are worse now. We're more polarized now than we were in the 60s in so many ways that there's a poignancy to this story that resonates in a way I don't think it did when Jack Holmes first produced it and put himself. He wrote the piece and he did it in New York. He did it on Broadway. But I think right now it resonates in a way that's very personal
the
for each of us.
audience
and
would
for us
relate to
as
it
a
more
country.
now than it probably would when you first read it.
And then you have 39 steps.
39 steps.
Patrick Barlow's 39 Steps, if anyone knows, Alfred Hitchcock's film from 1935, I think it was.
I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing that.
yeah.
It's a movie.
Robert
was.
Donat starred in that, and his nephew Peter Donat was one of the actors you remember up at ACT. Peter, I remember one of the first plays I saw was Peter Donat, Robert's nephew, in Cyrano de Bergerac.
Wow.
So it's a wonderful spoof. It's set up like in an English music hall, and they spoof not only the 39 Steps, but North by Northwest, and
Oh, yes,
pretty much
yes.
his whole body of work, Alfred's whole body of work. And then we're going right into our third show out of 39 Steps, which is our Christmas offering. We'll go into the world premiere of Luis Valdez's Valley of the Heart. That's El Teatro Campesino. It's a world premiere.
Oh, so it'll be the. And how many of the world premieres do you usually get? Are you lucky enough to have something of that quality?
This will be our 14th
Yeah.
world
14th,
premiere,
yeah, so
premiere
that-
over the course of our 33
years, yeah.
So he has produced this play before, and he's redoing it now or
Right,
updating
it's
it?
been
Or?
through workshop productions. He did one in San Juan Bautista, where El Teatro Campesino is based, and they did it at the Monterey Arts Center, and we'll be bringing it to San Jose. It'll go through its final rewrite, and we'll do that. We'll bring I guess it's the kind of the third world premiere if you look at all the two previous workshop productions. But this is, it's a big deal, and it actually gives El Teatro Campesino some residency in downtown San Jose,
Very
which
nice.
is important to that company right now. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Oh,
Right.
So
Wow.
between the two companies, we have over 80 years of experience going into this
that's
production. It's a lot of
terrific.
fun. A lot of
That's
fun.
great.
so you know, the quality's there, and it's what you want to do, and
Absolutely.
Right.
And then
it
you
fits
have
the area.
And then next up we
Boing?
do Boing Boing.
That is
Boing.
Marco Camaletti's. It's a French farce, 7 flapping doors. It's called Boing Boing. There was a film in 1964. I remember seeing it as a young boy, a very young boy. I could have been more than a year or two old. Jerry Lewis and Tony Curtis, and it's a
Really?
bachelor in Paris who is engaged to 3 different stewardesses. They called them stewardesses back then. And they're all on different time schedules because they have different flight schedules. And
he's
the
courting all
Boeing
3.
kind of things, their flight schedules change. And so his fiancées potentially holds the potential for some bumping into
Lot
each
of-
other that's not supposed to happen. It's a very funny
A
piece.
lot of comedy relief in it, then
A lot. It's
When
a
I
flapping doors
first
French
saw it,
farce.
Boing Boing, I said, what's that? What? I couldn't understand Boing. Then I thought, what? Boing, plane, Boing.
I got it. I got the Boing.
Right.
I got-
Yeah.
I don't know what it's about, but I got the Boing.
And I mean, we've got a great, like I say, core company of actors. We've already put most of that cast together for that show. So
Are you acting in any of
I'm
this
not acting
season?
this year,
Oh,
no,
not
no.
even the musical. You've got a musical coming up,
We
but
got a
you're
musical.
not going to say what
well,
it
we
is.
can't. Not that we can't. We're just not prepared to. We have a musical lined up, and
But you're
we'll, you know.
still working on it.
But we also have the
Negotiating the
request out
rights.
for a couple of other pieces that we'd also like to do that we have the potential to completely cast the way we want with our company. So we'll see what shoe drops in the.
And well, that's in 2016, and
Right.
would be
Yes.
the last.
Yep.
The last of the end of the season, then next year.
Yeah,
We usually run those throughout the summer, so.
So with the Bay Area, we have so much talent here. So between like the actors and the playwrights, who should we keep an eye out for?
You know, I don't know how to answer that one either. It's kind of like saying.
More
who
children?
my favorite child is, you know. But really,
Keep an eye
I
out
think-
for
I
who's
think-
on our stage because we feature the best talent.
Well, we're good. We're good at spotting talent. We like to
Well,
think.
that's
And you
good.
have them, come back in different capacities,
Right.
which I think is a really good thing to do.
Yeah, we're a true repertory company.
Yeah, in that sense that
So
you know,
people want to see who's on the cutting edge of what's going on in theater.
we were going to do Three Penny Opera a
Come
couple
to
of
the
years ago.
stage.
Before we actually presented Three Penny Opera, we didn't present it because we didn't feel right about it. So we had the director of Three Penny Opera had a script in his pocket. He called it an adaptation of Jane Austen's Persuasion. So we dumped Three Penny Opera, rolled it over to the season after, and we did Jane Austen's Persuasion. So the jump from Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill to Jane Austen's a pretty big stretch. And when the audience found out that it was the same cast for Three Penny that was doing Persuasion, they would go, "That's amazing, these actors are so amazing. They were supposed to do Three Penny Opera and they're doing Jane Austen." At a certain point I stopped saying, "Yes, isn't it amazing?" And I realized that's what actors do. That's what we're trained to do, is to do anything that we're supposed to do, whether it's Shakespeare or Miller or Ibsen or
Mamet.
Noel Coward. I mean, you've got to be able to go from one show to the next. So we enjoy that, and the actors in our core company really enjoy the chance to stretch themselves and jump from show to show and part to part. That's what it's about. And the Bay Area, Darlene, in your answer, the Bay Area is I've been in the Bay Area for 40 years off and on, coming back. It's got a great talent pool.
It
I would
does.
suggest my answer would be watch all of the actors in the Bay Area, because Robin Williams,
They were doing
Tom Hanks, Whoopi Goldberg, all these people.
Annette Bening.
Annette Bening, they've all been.
Spacey.
Yes.
They've all come from this area.
Yes.
For 33 years now, or 32 years anyway, because you're working on your 33rd. Is there any funny stories or stuff, incidents?
Juicy stories.
Everybody, what goes wrong?
We have
that
2
really-
minutes, so give us a quick
in the
version.
backstage. There's got to be some
Which one would
fantastic.
we be willing? We could tell them, but then we might have to kill them.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
that's true.
yeah, I mean, because I'm just realizing
The
what actor
union.
would go, I saw that, you were talking about me. I was doing that back, but you know, the antics backstage are so separate from what happens on stage that I sometimes wish, that's one of the things I like about that show, Noises Off, is it shows both sides of that.
Right.
You know, the backstage and
what goes
the forestage. So
You don't want to tell on anybody. I get it.
I
Can't reveal. We can't reveal.
But I'm thinking, you have made me think maybe we should do some backstage tours at intermission.
Yeah, a lot of people agree.
We have like a minute left or so.
Okay.
Can you just tell us something that we haven't asked you that you'd like people to know?
No, I don't. I can't think of anything. Kathy brought up the fact that we're working on our new space. We're also getting prepared to go to Ireland. The Cultural Arts Centre in Dublin wants to partner with us, so we're going to do an exchange with them. We're going over as soon as the
So you
first show
take a
opens.
company of actors over with you and
We're going to do an
one
exchange.
of your-
Exactly.
your
Yeah, so we're
production.
working on
We're
that.
out of time, but thank you so much for being here. We really, really enjoyed having
thank
you.
you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
for you watching out there, check the website and you can find out the times and the dates for these exciting plays coming up. Thanks for watching the show, and watch again.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to ask about the educational
Oh, we
program.
decided to drop that.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
That's
But
boring stuff.
Ireland, now that's one place we went to Wales and England and Scotland.